welcome back to another epi. Kyle, what are we doing here today?
I think the teachers are going to teach us some of the fundies of education, and we're also going to teach them some of the fundies of how to play on the ice.
First question that we're here to talk about today is, how do you see 211 and 241 as distinct but complementary?
241 provided specific information such as definitions and terminology-based theories, while 211 provided more broad information such as brainstorming general questions about education.
Some specific things we talked about in each course were, in 241, schema, extrinsic and intrinsic motivation, and cognition. Some specific things we talked about in 211 were diversity, bullying, and districting.
241 and 211 had basic differences. They tackled the basics of education by combining fundamentals with psychology.
This included things like the field trip to Lancaster, where we discussed immigration, refugees, and poverty.
And when we watched High Tech High and Bully, where we discussed technology in schools and teen suicide.
We reflected on placement and our mentor teachers together, and we brainstormed what it took to be an amazing, inspiring teacher with both sections of the class.
Bridget just explained to your boys. Their classes are two very different things, but they're also very similar.
Just like different teams here, we got different styles and different teammates, but we have one goal: put the biscuit in the basket.
How we're going to put the biscuit in the basket, also like how they're going to put it in the basket in teaching, is we're going to pass and share this common information, and that information is going to be the ball here, boys.
Just give it a try. Just throw it on the stick there.
Beginner's luck.
The second question that we're here to talk about today is, how do you define commitment to students and their learning?
Overall, these classes have taught us that to be a successful teacher, you need to care about your students inside and outside the classroom.
Some specific strategies we talked about in our classes are shoving. Shoving into students' lives when necessary is important. We talked about how deciding when it is appropriate and not appropriate was situational, and that it is not a black and white situation. Some student may need help and not know that they need help, and you have to find time and the right way to shove into their life appropriately to help them figure out how to learn in your classroom.
Oh, we know shoving, eh?
Sorry.
Some other course content includes
Intrinsic motivation, inspiring students to want to learn for themselves and not just for grades or candy or money or other kinds of outside sources.
also using student schema, a behavior, a pattern, or thoughts.
Helping students to actually grapple knowledge and not just throw facts at them with PowerPoints or textbook facts or note cards or things like that.
Me and Bridget just talked about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. I'm intrinsically motivated because I'm all about the self-improvement.
For me, I'm more extrinsically motivated. You know, I just love hearing the fans chant my name.
Great job, Kyle. Way to go, man.
Classic, you're terrible! Go home! Nobody likes you!
That's what it's all about, boys.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The third question that we're going to talk about today is, how do you understand the difference between knowing your subject and knowing how to teach your subject in light of the content of 211 and 241?
We agree that knowing your subject and knowing how to teach your subject are two totally completely different things. One thing we talked about in Milner is teachers who adapt ideas of color blindness and say, I'm only here to teach my subject, rather than I'm here to help students grapple ideas of race, discrimination, bullying, and other issues currently going on in teenagers' lives.
Another thing we talked about in Sizer's book is effective ways of presenting your content. It's not helpful to have students memorize facts for tests, but have them interact with content so they can actually grasp it. So instead of just putting up a PowerPoint and having students copy down word for word what is on your PowerPoint, you can ask them questions about the content so they can actually analyze it and learn it and understand it, rather than just memorize it and be able to recreate it on a test and then forget it the next day.
We're here today letting the teachers show us how it's done in the classroom so I can better share my love and knowledge to my players. Kyle, what are you here for? Ringside here, we're going to teach Allie how to take a nice shot here. Want to make sure you have a good grip on the stick and just wind up. Give her a shot here. Really fire on it. Oh no, that's not good. We might have to make some accommodations. I'm not sure what we can do here. Kyle, any suggestions?
Here, Allie, try to get this twigger going here.
I'll get you a ball. Try to get another shot here. Oh, much better.
Love that. Part of the game here is really just getting in condition. So what I'm gonna have you do is run to the lines there and back, please. Faster! I said to the lines. Back. Come on, Allie. When I say run to the lines, then I just say run to the lines.
Alright, Alex, sorry about Kyle there. We thought I was post-descriptive. I want you to run to the center line and back as possible. Good job. Keep it up. Keep it up. Nice job, Allie.
How do you see the ideas in 211 and 241 reflected in your field experience? So we talked about sorting in class, and that was something that we've seen in our field experience, in the hallways, in lunchrooms, in classrooms, especially by race and language. We also experienced extrinsic motivation within the classrooms, that students were more motivated by grades for their student portals. The most important thing that I learned in my field placement was communication. My teacher connected with the students very well because she lived in poverty just like most of the students there.
Some things we talked about in my placement were rehearsal of the learning cycle. So I was in an English room and students practiced their vocab words at the beginning of class every day for a week, and then they had an assessment at the end of the week. So that was rehearsal of the learning cycle. Some goal orientation we also saw at Davis K through 8, motivated by the Davis dollar and different incentives. And then also, my mentor teacher showed the objective instruction assessment, which we talked about recently in Hennick's class. Ms. Fayola had her objectives and activities listed on the board for the entire week for both sections of her classes, and then she had small assessments at the end of the week for all of those things. So that the instruction objectives were on the board, and then the assessments for those things on the board were at the end of the week. For my course content, English, I learned that I should diversify what books I teach through the authors, which we talked about through our Milner presentations. A second thing is I want to focus on how to motivate students who don't learn English. For example, Hennick talked about how her son wasn't very interested in English or writing or reading, but she tried to relate it to sports, which he did love, and got him sports books and sports journals and all of these things so that he was reading and writing, but it was just about things that he actually liked. And a third thing that I learned is through my placement, my mentor teacher taught me a lot about how to choose books and how to form curricula based on classroom level and grade level and different things.
There's disability studies, and through my field placement, I learned ways in which the school system can support students with disabilities to create a comfortable learning environment.
From Arizona, he was a tech ed teacher, and he focused on adapting classroom climate to suit the needs of all genders, as well as promote the involvement of women in the tech ed field.
My brother's a social studies and special needs teacher over in Quebec, and he would always talk about how he would have to accommodate for students with special needs, and he would also talk about spreading the idea of diversity in the classroom through history. I think you guys are really on your way to become really good hockey players out here.
And we think that you guys are well on your way to becoming great teachers.
We got some shoving of our own here in this league.
His teacher would always try to tell him how he could accommodate for students with in the classroom through history, also by accommodating